can't tell if it's quiet on my end for one reason or another. I also I rebuilt my computer and put on a new motherboard, so I got to change all my sound settings and things. So anyway, but how's everyone this week?
Doing good. Tired, but good.
Good.
I
I'm
am
glad.
currently on my phone because Discord on my computer has decided it has a bunch of updates. So that's how this is going to be this week.
Well, that's special. Yeah, whatever helps, whatever makes you feel better about being on your phone. I guess. I mean, whatever helps you get here, I guess. So, if you all recall, we are in some desolate tropical hell, and you all are on these have been to several of these tiny little islands in a large island chain in the south middle of the White Sea. You're trying to find an individual by the name of Aiden Marsden, and he possesses a net, which you believe, for whatever strange reason, because you were told this by an ancient old man and then later a less ancient old woman, possessing the soul of a very, very ancient something or another, dragon, that you believe that this net will be powerful enough to capture Tiamat herself. And you very much want it. Unfortunately, the individual who has it very much wants to not give it to anyone, and he seems to be perhaps hiding amongst these several large and some small islands. And so far, you've accomplished, let's see, losing in all-you-can-eat crab record. Although, to be fair, that the vast majority of that losing was on Mark's part. You have succeeded in not finding much of anyone and alienating yourselves somewhat in the town, paying a ludicrous amount of money to a guard and a driver on some sort of an armored pearl shipment to be able to take you back to town, and that's about where we are there. But overall,
and then we split the party.
Pardon?
Then we split the party.
And then you split the party, yeah. But overall, nothing really good has occurred. You haven't really learned much of anything, and yeah, that's about where you are. You've learned that there's a pearl interest on this island, and that there are a lot of other islands around that have different types of interests. You know that there's an island to the south that has a lot of gnomes on it. What relevant information that is, you don't really know. And that's about it, really. So, as was mentioned, the party has split a bit, but some of you are in town and some of you are
We just got
not.
back together.
I know, right? It's so quick.
Yes.
I'm not that far away, you know. I'm actually really close.
Yeah, he's like less than half a mile. He's not that far. It's like half a mile away.
Hell,
Last
from the
time
right
weren't
angle, you
that
might be
far,
able to
you-
see us.
Yeah.
You just gotta really look kind of. Well, it kind of crests a little bit in the middle because you got the coast all around, and then there's a circular sort of, or rather, a central sort of lake, and in the middle it's kind of a highland. So halfway, you can certainly see the town.
If anybody's got like a horn they can blow, I bet Lee would come back at that. You know.
Almost certainly. Almost certainly. But the majority of the party was on their way back to the sort of main town of this teeny little island. The main town itself being the town of Tanya. No idea why, but on the island of Elatos.
I know it's Tanya, but I still have it in my notes from when you first told it to me as Townia. Like town and then IA.
And it might very well be that that's how it kind of got its name, but it's just been kind of adjusted over the years.
Yeah, I get that.
Where are we? The town. What's it called? The town. Yeah, what's this town? The town. This here town. Yeah, no. It just kind of got away from everyone.
It's like everything being Lind, Iceland.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Finland.
Amongst many others. because a place is a place. Simple enough. But in the town of Tanya, on the island of Elatos, you have not found what you are looking for.
Oh, I just realized something.
What's that?
Fiona and Lee left, right?
Yes.
Early in the morning?
Yes.
Is Fiona's alarm spell still up? Would he be able to sense their approach?
Oh.
It is, but probably not because, I mean, it's not following them. It's just in the normal place. And he made all of those people immune. Like he doesn't, it's not like it's giving him a record of who's crossing the zone. It's an indicator of when someone that is not wanted crosses the zone.
Yeah,
But
he didn't include the people that we paid, did he?
Yeah,
actually,
so they.
he explicitly did.
Oh man, you don't want them to sneak up on us though.
Yeah, I thought he
Yeah,
changed
no, I
his mind
thought.
about that.
Yeah, I thought we went back on that because
Well, either way, they stayed on the road. So
yeah.
Here, have some breakfast. Oh wait, you already ate? Come and touch this. That rock over there.
either way,
Bob
Fionn and
shoots
Lee
up a
were still
flare.
in town. Lee kind of swimming around and doing things. And Fionn, I think you wanted to do something.
Fishing, right?
Yeah, I was just fishing, but if I didn't get anything, I was just gonna hang out.
In terms of fishing, there's some stuff to get. It depends on what you're fishing for. Anything in particular?
I think I'd probably just kind of just to pass the time, so no particular goal for any type of fish or anything.
What do you use as bait?
Probably like about to go bad stuff, like old jerky and stuff that we've had prepared in the past.
Real
Okay.
smelly.
Are you going to be keeping it with a good bobber, like off the floor, or are you just letting it sink in?
Lee also has a jar of pickled fish eyes.
He
Keep those
does.
for the crabs.
I don't think we tried to use them for something, but it didn't work.
We tried to use them to bait the crab into giving us information.
That's right. Okay. Sorry, I'll be quiet.
Probably would try and fashion a bobber.
Okay. I mean, presumably you've had a bobber. So, like, if you've got a fishing pole, you probably have a whole fishing kit. Or one can be acquired, potentially. But I would assume that if you're fishing, you probably would have a bobber.
Yeah, because at some point, I think it was when we first got on the ferry, I like bought one off of somebody or something when we were when we were first headed to Hope.
Well, even then, heading to Hope or not, I would consider a bobber to be part of a basic fishing kit. And so if you've got a fishing kit, then that would be included.
If Fiona doesn't have one, Lee does have that kid's fishing kit that he bought in the town by
You
the White
do.
City.
In fact, let's say that. Hang on, let me check to see what comes with a normal fishing kit for 5e. So,
It's like a little kid's one, so Fiona could use that and actually maybe salvage some of the pieces with his actual kit.
yeah, so the kit would include a wooden rod, silken line, corkwood bobbers, steel hooks, lead sinkers, velvet lures, and narrow netting. And so, if for whatever reason, Fionn, you did not have a bobber, Lee would be able to crack open his My First Fisherman kit and provide some bobbers. So, most definitely, you have bobbers.
Yeah, all of my equipment was basically left at this place near the stable, near the what is it called? The near the Capricorn. So
Mm,
we would have gotten there, and I would have been able to give it to you.
yeah, which is, if I recall correctly, a place that is relatively aptly named of the teal
Mollusk.
oyster or the teal mollusk.
Oyster.
No,
Yeah,
the teal mollusk. You're right.
yeah. It's because it's a play on the blue mollusk, I assume.
It's a play on the blue oyster, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
I thought.
the blue mollusk is the play on the blue oyster. So,
Okay, what is the blue oyster?
uh, yeah, never mind. I'll explain it later. So,
Okay.
in terms of fishing, your jerky. Let's see here. Let me roll. You want to call high or low?
Let's say
Yeah.
low.
Okay. Yeah, you don't catch anything. Just doesn't seem to happen. It mostly does discriminate or disintegrate a couple of the pieces of little nothings, but as relaxing as it is, you don't really get much more than a couple of little nibbles, but you never seem to grab anything. Looks like a lot of the there's not really much in the way of larger fish near their shore. They've likely learned. There are quite a few, oddly enough, there are quite a few shellfish. You would think that that would be rather dangerous, but there are still quite a few that are around and abundant in the docks. And in fact, you may have even seen it the night before. There are a lot of especially with the teal mollusk, they're just tossing all the remainders out right on the shore. They're likely seeding in a lot of shellfish, but also some sort of medium to smaller sized fish. The best time to fish, oddly enough, would probably be in the evening, a little bit after sunset around here. But anyway, yeah, you don't catch much of anything. And Lee, you also were able to swim quite a bit and get a bit done. Would you like to do anything else with your time, or you just want to rest and relax? Or I think you mentioned that you wanted to try and go back so that you could be there in time.
Yeah, I wanted to go out and get a quick morning swim and get my equipment that I left, check in with my goat, and that's essentially all I needed to do. So I'm ready to head back.
All right. Fionn, would you like to go back as well?
Yeah, definitely. And on the way back, I think I would, if it's okay to inject this, I think Fionn would ask Lee, like, hey, you've been swimming a lot in the mornings lately. Is there any, like, is that just part of your new fitness regimen, or?
Well, you see, I told you the story about how Aiden dumped me in the middle of the ocean, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, next time I'm gonna be able to catch up to him.
Fionn pats his shoulder and smiles at him, and he goes, "I like that."
Hell yeah. Also, I've got an Alodrin and a Capricorn that can still outswim me pretty deftly, but you know, being prepared. Oh, and a Molly. But if it comes down to it, I want to be prepared.
Lee's just like, I can definitely outswim Ormus. That's about all I got. Oh, anyway.
Right. I love how I was left out of that whole list, even though I too can polymorph. But I mean,
That's true.
Okay, well that's true. If he could polymorph, you could outswim Fionn, Lee. Like you could like, well,
Maybe. He's
yeah,
survivors really
not
well.
Alodrin or the Capricorn or maybe Molymort, I guess. Probably Ormus would be polymorphs, but I can swim faster than you, Fionn.
Lee knows he's the weakest link here right now, and he wants to make sure that he's not, you know, if it comes down to it, he's not a hindrance.
All right. After that, and if you're just heading back, you in fact do run into the party as they are clomping along on the road, and you can see the large, relatively armored cart coming before them, which does not stop as it passes you. It just continues past, and you can see your party following behind. The rest of you, or rather, in fact, all of you are together now and are being led back into the town of Tanya on the promise that you would get to meet someone of authority within the sort of Zargo family business.
Nice.
Specifically, the Burning Tears Trade Goods and Jewelry Exports Company.
Just to be sure, I feel like I missed something. We're not back on time, right?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
I just feel like I must have missed something. Me and Fiona are not back in time, right?
You're not back in time for them to show up, no, but they're taking the rest of the party to a place where you are. And so while you're going back to the rest of the party, you just intersect in the road.
Okay, so I'll jog up to them and join them.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
Sorry
you
to
basically just have to
interject.
stop and then turn around and just keep following them. So,
Okay. Can do. Sorry, I feel like I like zoned out for a second and I realized, wait, I don't know what's going on, so I needed to interject.
perfectly fine. You're walking down towards the southwest, essentially, or south by southwest or so, essentially on the only real main road that you've seen on this island. There are little paths that go off in different directions through the fields, off to various huts and maybe fisheries and other different buildings. But it seems like there are, as far as you can tell, two kind of small towns on this island. One on the sort of outside port, and then another on the lake on the inside, which seems to be the primary place where they are sort of farming these pearls. And being led into town, is everyone going to stay together? Or anybody want to break off or anything?
Let's stick together.
I split the party. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'll go with the group.
I'll stick with them.
All right.
Somebody's got to protect us.
This cart, yeah. The cart arrives in front of the building, in fact, that you had seen before that had like a little droplet that was on fire. And they stop and they put out a hand, the dwarf getting down and saying, "Wait here and I'll go do some introductions." And the doors to this large warehouse open. The cart is driven inside and she closes the doors behind it. And then she goes into the front door, beside which is the plaque of the droplet of water with a couple of embers or flame, licks of flame above it.
Before we do get there, I've noticed, and I don't know if I've asked anybody or gotten a replacement, but if Lee's not there yet, I'm gonna see and ask Aladrin. He's got a long sword that I can borrow for a while. Kind of just like off this, I'm like, hey, I know you got a lot of weapons. You got a long sword I can borrow?
I think that's the one thing I don't have. I think I might have picked one up at some point, but God knows where that went.
Aladrin checks his pockets.
Honestly, I just always think of Aldrin as a repository of weapons, and he just if he looks for a weapon, he probably has it if it's an edged weapon.
Wait, no, I think I did pick one, take one off of one of the Morningstar bodies.
I could see that.
I mean, if it's maybe if it's not written down, I don't know.
Yeah.
By sheer volume, the amount of weapons that are stabbed at him and he carries already, it almost seems like just by chance he'd get one stuck in his spleen or something.
Yeah. It's not written down, but I thought I mentioned saying it at some point.
At some point, he's gonna have so many weapons wrapped around his body that he's just gonna have armor made out of weapons.
Sword cloak.
Hey, Aldrin, do you have a belt? No, but I have this whip cane.
I have a comma.
What is considered martial weapons? Because I'm proficient with those.
I've got some weapons if you need one. Do you need a two-hander or do a one-hander?
I have.
I don't think two-handed. You have to have a feat, don't you?
No, you can use them.
No.
Oh,
Just can't use a shield.
What do you have, Molly Mort?
I have a sickle, I have a sling, I have a comma, I have my quarterstaff, but I'd rather keep that.
Since you
well,
are
I was gonna ask
Hexblade,
Aladrin just because he wasn't part of the whole thing between me, Fion, and Lee, Molly. Just
okay.
out of discomfort, it's and then I made the promise with Lee. I'm like, oh shit, I just realized I don't even have a backup weapon.
Aladrin has a
Aladrin's
great
got
sword.
Yeah.
Aladrin's got a great sword. He's got javelins, stuff like that.
Want one of those?
Simple to martial. Let's see.
You can use all weapons. Just
Yeah,
to
you
let
can
know.
basically use all of them.
You want a hand axe?
Comma seems kind of most fitting for you.
I mean,
A
I have a
hand axe?
battle axe.
Aldrin, don't you have that thorny chain?
Maybe, but knowing Aldrin, he's probably using it as a belt.
We want to keep those pants up.
Especially around Dira.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Now yours around.
That's probably why he's using it as a belt.
He needs to protect himself.
Well, I mean,
Spiked chastity belt. Maybe.
Yeah. What's that Molly has? A comma?
what do you use most often, Allergen?
I mean, besides his just sheer will, I think it's
Because
great
if
sword.
he, okay, I was gonna say if it was great sword, if he had great sword. I mean, if it was great axe, I'd see if he had a great sword. If he didn't mind parting with it until.
I mean, he seems to have offered you a hand axe.
Yeah, no.
You know,
Grab a hand
little
axe.
hatchet.
Simple. Oh. Hand axe.
Uh,
1d6 slashing.
Lee has a
Oof.
battle axe that does the same as a longsword.
Thank you for the hand axe. Smile and pat him on the shoulder.
Yeah. Mark off the hand axe.
All right.
I was just kind of trying to avoid asking anybody from the original conflict was all.
Hey, we all want you armed. We all want you to be safe.
Yeah, you're part of
Yeah.
our party, our group.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
It's shit.
He's just doing his paranoid thing. So,
Shame thing.
is there anything else anyone else would like to accomplish before you continue in the present?
I'm ready to roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
All right.
Good. Sorry for that interruption.
That's perfectly fine. A tall, elvish fellow comes out from the building, and he seems to be bespectacled and dressed in a fine manner, although he's somewhat balding. But whatever. Seems to be doing fine. And he comes out and says, I heard you needed to speak with someone.
Yes?
I'm assuming it's you all. I'm
Yes.
Ralph Zargo. And he offers a hand to shake to whomever wants to shake it.
Yeah,
I'll shake him.
Right, he will.
Okay.
We both go into awkwardly shake it.
Yeah.
And we all go in to shake his hand.
Me
Yeah,
too.
as you all bring your hands together, he just does this awkward thing where he just kind of puts his hand on top of the pile and shakes it a bit, kind of pats it like a
By the
group
power
cheer.
of Grayskull!
Says, okay. What can I do for you? Are you prospective buyers? Are you looking for work? I'm afraid we don't need many guards right now. As he looks at essentially some of your weaponry, that's plainly apparent.
Oh, no, we're not looking for work. We just wanted to look for information. We're looking for a particular fellow named Aiden Marsden.
Oh, I'm unaware of any such individual. He seems to be lying.
Oh, we can just tell? Nice.
He rolled a 7 on his deception.
Even Lee can tell he's lying. That's great.
Yeah,
My
like
goodness.
as soon as you said it, like it was just something in his eyes where it's just like he did not expect to be asked that. He was not prepared to lie.
Can I try to roll a persuasion to kind of... I want to figure out how to role play it, but I can't really think of what to do here. But I feel like somebody who's like used to talking to people might be
Molly
able
will
to do
step
it.
forward and narrow her eyes at him, hands on her hips. Oh, really now?
Yeah,
Yes.
anything you can tell us would be helpful. We're not here to hurt him. We really need to talk
Yeah.
to him. We're not bounty
I
hunters.
know some of us, especially
Aldrin.
I point to Aladdin, especially he looks intimidated, kind of all of us, but I swear it's nothing bad.
And I will point out that Fionn does look intimidating because at the notice that this guy is lying, Fionn immediately just like subconsciously took over the intimidating look, looking down with the kind of shoulders up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean, the reason why it took Molly a minute to pick somebody out is because she knows everybody but her basically looks intimidating.
Lee will play good cop here. Put his hood down. His hood was already down. And yeah, I want to do like a persuasion to kind of, soften the mood. Maybe since they're doing bad cop and I'm doing good cop, maybe we could get something out of this.
Yeah, as soon as I figured it, it's like, yeah, little Mutt and Jeff, that'll do it. So, I mean, who wants to? I mean, he seems to be a bit taken aback. I wouldn't be able to tell you anything about any such individual if there even was. So, very well.
You can trust us. We
Of course. He seems to be fiddling with the watch chain.
Sure.
is there
And
anything?
backing slowly
don't
up
worry.
towards the door.
Is there
We're only here
anything that
to
we
offer
could
him a
do for
job.
you? Do what?
I was just saying, sir, no need to worry. We're only here to offer him a job. An opportunity.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I mean, it's not entirely. Yeah. That
What
makes
kind
sense.
of opportunity?
He's in possession of
We
a
hear that
very
he's a very
important item.
good fisher. And we wish to open up a business with him. See if he would like to come down to areas around Hope and Bricata and supply decent fish at great pay.
Oh, well, best of luck in finding him then. And he nods and gets a little closer towards the door, with a hand upon the handle. If there's anything else,
I'm
Can I
just gonna.
step beside him so that like if he tries to slip in the door, I can be right behind him?
do you want? I mean, yeah, you can just walk up to him, yeah. But are you trying to be stealthy about it, or are you just walking up to him?
Kind of discreet.
Okay.
I'll take a step behind Al. He's in a guardhouse, right? You said?
No, he's just on the street. I mean, you guys just walked up to a warehouse, and he stepped outside, and now he's going back towards the front door. I mean, there's no guardhouse. You're just standing in the middle of the street.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it-
What are you doing, Ormus?
If the door was open or closed, I was gonna step behind
closed.
Aladrin. Okay, I'll step behind Aladrin and Misty step on the other side of the door
That's okay.
that he's going towards. That way, when he opens it up, he can't go.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you can Misty step to the other side of a door. Let me check.
It has to be something that you can see.
Yeah, into an unoccupied space that you can see.
Hmm.
Oh, I'll block the door then.
Hey.
Well, he's already got his hand on the door, but yeah, you can do that.
I'll do the stand on one side facing him, and just rest my arm on the other side while leaning on it.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't think you understand what we're getting at.
Guards! Guards! And he starts pounding on the door, and the large rolling door begins to open.
I'm gonna put a
Roll
hand
initiative.
up. Oh boy.
No, you're threatening a businessman in the middle of the street. No, I'm not gonna let that fly.
I'm just gonna tell it, dear. You might want to stand back.
Puppy's
I
mine
rolled a 10.
bonus.
All right.
16 for me, and then I'm just gonna cast Charm Person.
The
Blade
first
everywhere.
couple.
10. Ormus 16. What have you got, Aldrin? Or Fion? What you got, Fion?
22.
Good gravy.
I got
Alright.
a 19.
19. And Lee?
4, but I never got to make my persuasion check.
Okay, you can roll a persuasion check.
Yeah, I rolled a 17 when I was trying to talk to him, but
What was your intention of the persuasion?
my intention was to calm him down and essentially imply that, we We just want, to talk to him. We want to do this in a diplomatic solution. We need a connection to him.
All right. Well, we can see how well that applies in the future, but the overtly aggressive actions were enough to startle this guy.
To be fair, I did the persuasion check before Ormus did all that stuff. He just
And
talked
he
over
was-
me for 10 minutes.
I know, and he was calm at that time. But even if he was calm, the quick teleportation behind him while he's trying to walk away would be enough. I mean,
All right.
the
Is it okay?
persuasion, he was calm. He was talking.
Okay. I know we're in combat, but I'm last in the order. But my intention is to de-escalate. But whatever you guys do, that's
I'm
up to
gonna
you,
work on
especially
that.
if guards are coming.
All right. Well, we shall see. So, going in the straight up from the top order, because it's basically, guards arriving and such, but they haven't gotten here yet. The door's not open. He's just banging on the door. Fionn, what would you like to do?
I'm gonna take a step back and back down. Escalating with violence is the last. Backing down. Setting his turn. That's basically.
Good. Aladrin, what would you like to do? You can see that the large sort of rolling door is beginning to be pulled open, possibly by more guards inside, possibly even by the dwarf guard that brought you here. You're not quite sure. And you can see him banging on the doorway. This individual who introduced himself as Ralph. What would you like to do, Aladrin?
I'll hold my hands up, trying to, placate him, show him no harm, and say, do you have somewhere more private we can talk? The true nature of what we're doing is very sensitive.
Okay. And Ormus, what would you like to do?
Still not fighting or being aggressive.
Are you still
Nice.
holding the door?
Nope. I'll walk around and cast friends, like kind of behind him.
Oh,
Or
you're
charm
already
person.
behind him. Okay.
No, I was just
Sort of
okay. I
beside
thought
him.
yeah.
I
Kind of
mean,
walk around.
he was
so
trying
that-
to open the door, and you were on the door, and so, like, you were beside him in a way. But he was sort of backing up towards the door. Anyway, so charm person then. Let's see here.
Well,
Charm a humanoid you can see within range.
he said friends.
No. I meant charm person. I don't have friends.
Okay, good.
That only lasts a minute, I think.
All right.
And
What's
charm
your
person lasts an hour. 17.
okay? All right. All right. So, would you like to do anything else?
Nope. Just kind of go off what Aladdin said and said, if, like you said, if you come with us to or know a more secluded area, then we are more than willing to give you the information that you need regarding what's his name?
Aiden Marsden?
Aiden. Thank you. Aiden. We just can't do it out in the open is all. Please.
Yeah,
we know you
it's
know
very
harm.
sensitive.
Okay. Next up is Molly Mort. What would you
Sure.
like to do?
I would like to turn into a kitty cat and be charming to try to de-escalate.
Perfectly reasonable thing to do. The sliding door opens, and you see the dwarf woman that was one of the two, the gnome woman and the dwarf woman. The dwarf woman stepping out, and you also see another individual, a large, probably half-elven, although it's tough to tell. He's sort of humanoid in shape, coming out, a little bit more armored, and he's got a crossbow at the ready, and her crossbow is also leveled at you both in a threatening manner. Beside you, your companions are a bit surprised and a bit taken aback. Mark readies the finger guns, but Jacob puts a hand on his arm to ease him down a little bit. And I mean, that's important. You don't want Mark to go finger guns on everybody.
Yeah.
The whole
And
town will
then
be leveled in a matter of seconds.
Adira hides behind Aladrin, fully and completely. And the individual at the door stops tugging it as much, or rather, now that it's no longer being held by Ormus, actually, will open it up. And we'll say that we do not take kindly to people coming in here throwing around their weight. We will not be told how to run our business.
I mean, we didn't tell you how to run your business. We just needed information.
We also don't really like being lied to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty clear that you were lying. I think all of us could tell.
I had like a thing. Oh, okay.
If you want to do it.
And Lee?
Because we're out of turn order.
Oh, okay. I was gonna ask, where were we in the initiative?
It's your turn. What would you like to do?
Oh, okay. I'm just gonna do what I planned on doing. I'm gonna drop my shield and hammer, and I think I'm gonna take to a knee, kind of put my hand up to everyone, and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna take a knee, and I'm gonna say, we only want your help, sir. Try to be respectful and what's the word for it? Not subservient, submissive."
Well, you have a terrible way of asking for it.
I
Well, we tried to
apologize
ask
for.
nicely first, and then you lied to us.
Look,
Sorry.
I'm
Don't
done
worry
with this
about
man's attitude. Take him
I'm
now
sure
or I'll
you
have you all
disagree to
shot.
I'll walk
Ormus,
away.
please stand down. I understand what you're trying to do, and I do appreciate it, but I don't think this is the right tactic here.
Yeah, Molly's gonna come and like rub against Ormus's leg to try to just get him to chill out a bit.
If I may,
I'm
sir,
chill. I'm cool.
can we
I'm cool.
start
I'm cool.
over?
I'm cool.
I understand your need to protect your secrecy. I'm sure there's some reason for it, but we truly need this information, and we're willing to cooperate with whatever you may need from us. We just need to be able to.
If such a person exists,
Yes,
he
of course.
likely does not want to talk to anyone.
I very much understand that. I've talked to him before. He didn't want to talk then, but we dramatically need to talk to him. And when I say that, I mean, this is a small island, but in the great big wider world out there, there's war going on, and there's dangerous things moving around, and we're here to protect it. We've been sent on a incredibly important mission from incredibly important people, and we need to discuss an artifact that he holds. I don't think he understands the impact that it could play in the upcoming struggle.
He motions to the guards, and they lower their crossbows. They don't put them away. They don't move away, but they stop pointing them at you guys.
I'll take that chance to say, you have my word that you are safe from us, and our. We will not make a hostile move towards you again. And I'll look to each of the party members and kind of nod to each one of them.
Molly looks up at him with very big eyes.
Theon takes the opportunity to follow suit and
From my experience, does this guy look/sound like he's afraid of Aiden, or is this loyalty?
This looks like loyalty of a sort.
Okay, so it's not, if I tell you things, he'll kill me. He'll do
No.
weird things with that net. Okay.
No, he does not look afraid. He looks righteous. I mean, he
Okay.
looks like, he looks, despite the almost bookish and tanned appearance, while he may appear frail, you can, or rather you suspect, at least from seeing him and seeing his eyes, that while he was surprised to discuss with you, or rather surprised that you would bring up the subject, that he does seem to have a cunning mind, that he is
Okay.
doing this with intention, and not out of any kind of a fear, but more of a duty,
Yeah.
perhaps.
That's
Yeah,
very
that was
useful
just my
information.
Absolutely.
that was just my concern was somehow Aiden had become like none of us had the full story and Aiden was a tyrant. But I'll kneel.
If it's a question of loyalty, I think we can probably deal with it. I do appreciate you getting that information, though, Aldrin. I don't think
Yeah.
any of us would have picked up on that necessarily.
He says that no such person exists, and if they do exist, I don't know where they are, and I don't know them. So, if you have a message for them, it couldn't hurt to give it to me.
We appreciate you being willing to deliver this message to, a man that you may or may not know. And I'll kind of nod to him.
Yeah.
We only wish. What's the best way to say this? We only wish to talk to him and discuss the possibility of the net. We want him to be fully aware of what is at stake, because I don't believe that he understands the full ramifications, and he seems to be a man of good character and responsibility from what I've seen. And I feel like if he understood exactly what's going on, and we will be transparent with him, he would want to help.
Do you
So I
have
think
something perhaps more succinct that you would want me to tell him? Or do you want to write something down?
I'll kind of look around. Hey, Ormish, you're good at saying things. You got a better way to say this?
Apparently not.
Come on, man, give it a try.
Just tell the truth. I feel like we try and dance around the issues. I feel like just
Man,
telling the truth.
this is me telling the truth.
I
That was
mean,
me 100% telling him exactly what's going on, exactly what we want from him.
yeah.
So
I'm
you
talking
want
about
me
the whole.
to tell him that you want him to know something. You won't tell me the thing you want him to know. You won't
Uh,
tell him why he should know it, but just that he should know something. Got
do
it.
you want
Lee,
do
did
you
you
want
already?
the information? This could be a big burden to you. This is powerful information.
But we can only give it to you in secrecy and in private. If you wish to have a guard, and I'll point to the individual that escorted us, to make yourself feel a little bit more secure, we're willing to do that.
Do
It
you,
is extremely important that we get
Orm,
and
Ormus,
talk.
if I may, can I? How about okay? Do you trust your guard? Do you trust your guard with a possibly world-shattering secret?
Do I
This is
trust
up to
them
you.
with a world shattering secret?
Yes, this is up to you. If you want them to stay and you want to hear this secret, that's up to you if you trust them to keep this a secret.
It's not that simple. You're also asking me to trust you, and I don't.
I understand. What can I do? Anything that I can do to gain this small amount of trust that you need.
That I need for what? To take a piece of paper from you?
We can write it as a note, but if you want this information too,
I don't want anything
okay,
except maybe
we'll
to
write a note.
scrape you off my street and go back to work.
That's fair. You know what? We'll write a note. And I'll pull out the notebook and write a letter to Aidan Marsden that essentially asks for his willingness to meet with us in a neutral location so that we can discuss the full scope of what's going on, so he can make a informed decision.
All right.
And I will give it to him, bow to him, and say, "Well, we will."
Do we have any way to
Quit.
seal it?
I feel like
Um,
we should.
yeah, I guess. Do you have anything, Ormus?
Um, pretty sure all my skills come from acting and not. I have a components pouch, scholar pack maybe.
Sure.
Scholar pack would maybe
So-
have something. Let me check. Scholar pack 5e. I'm willing to bet that it probably has something in there.
Because I have a seal,
Yeah,
signet, or
parchment.
banner. Oh, I do have a seal pouch, seal, signet, or banner pouch.
That sounds perfect.
That would be enough.
How about we include a location and a time
I feel
so
like we
he doesn't
should.
have we don't have to go back and forth?
Okay.
The Teal Oyster.
You sure? Yeah, the Teal Oyster, and we'll say at sunset sometime.
And I mean, if he doesn't feel comfortable meeting with us there, he can send a note saying where would be better.
Is there an echo coming through? I apologize.
For me, it was just for Molly.
Can we try again, Molly Mort?
If he isn't comfortable meeting us there, then he can send somebody with a note there saying where would be better or when would be better for him. So that way it isn't. He has the power
Yeah,
still.
basically let him know where we're staying and what, put the ball in his court.
Yeah.
Oh man, I really hope this works, because we really need to talk to him.
All right. Now, the Blue Oyster is not an inn. It does not have rooms.
Okay.
Teal.
The Teal Oyster, excuse me.
Maybe we could tell him where our camp is, or that we're willing to meet him there, or near there, or something. Does anybody have any ideas?
I mean, other than setting up our campsite and like as a semi-permanent thing and just waiting.
Or, I mean, we could ask this guy in the doorway here if there are any local inns he would recommend.
Sure. I'm down. Saying get blah 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 in. I'm good with that.
Yeah, he says that, well, most people, when they come here, if they're on ship, they stay on their ship, or they're here visiting friends or family, or they work for us. There are barracks, but are private. There are apartments, there are homes, but they're private. Unfortunately, there are no inns here.
That's fine. Our camp will work fine, I think. Yeah, and we'll write that we're staying at the camp and kind of the location of where it's at.
All right. So you essentially write something like a couple 100 yards south of the oyster farm on the island of Elatos.
Yeah, I guess so. And what do you guys think? Should we include the information there? Like what he needs to know, or should we ask him to come to us to tell him?
I think we need to kind of incentivize him to like actually come talk to us. So don't give him all the information, or else he might just say, "No, I'm not talking to you."
That's fair. Okay. Yeah, let's be like, we have this world shattering information and we desperately need to talk. We came all the way here to talk to you. It's of grave importance.
And do you include sunset again, or
Yeah, sunset's good.
okay? Do you give a day,
Um,
like a date?
I'm gonna say within the next 3 days. Any sunset in the next 3 days. Does that sound okay to you guys?
I feel like
Sure.
we should also tell him the scope of what we want to talk about.
I mean, I've implied it. I've implied that it's world-shattering news, that the net is of grave importance, and that if he knows the full scope of things, that I think him being a responsible and good-hearted man would listen.
Yeah, it's just like I'm trying to think about it from his point of view, and
That's
it's
good.
these people showed up out of nowhere, and they're just harassing me about this goddamn net, telling me it's of great importance. They're trying to take away the only thing that's, potentially the only thing of value that I own.
Hey, that's a good point.
I don't think he thinks of it as the only thing of value that he owns. I think he feels he is responsible for taking care of it. Yeah.
Yeah, they've been protecting the net for a long time. Their family line has. But I
Yeah,
think Allergen's onto something. Allergen, what would you say that would incentivize you to listen?
I mean,
If you come and talk to us and still feel the same way, we will never talk to you again.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
hear us out and we'll stop bothering you.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, like, the net is very important, though. But honestly, if we can't get the net, we could just switch over to going to Bahamut.
yeah,
I honestly, and deep in Lee's heart, he believes that if he hears what it's for, and he understands and believes us, that he will make the right decision.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's write
And I
that.
mean, yeah, don't want to write it all down, but we do have Bahamut's blessing. So when we tell him that, hopefully, knowing that Bahamut is the one that made this net, then he'll be a little bit more, willing to listen.
Okay, I'm good with that.
here's
We make a
another
beautifully worded and succinct letter that makes a lot of good points and incentivizes him to come and meet us at our camp at sunset within the next 3 days.
here's
Is that good?
another concern. Yeah, that's good. Another
Okay, I'll hand
concern
him the letter. Oh,
I
sorry,
just had.
Allergen.
This is just, conspiracy brain rot. Um, the family, Muhammad was betrayed, and
Right.
so what if the families that, you know, protect the weapons or protected the weapons, a few of them being exclusions,
That's a good point.
were
Yeah.
We can't factor
families
that
of the
out.
conspirators? It's just something to consider.
Oh, it's definitely something to consider.
Absolutely. It's a scary thing to consider, but it's definitely worth considering.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's hand him the letter and head out.
Um,
Um,
before we go, I do think we should, since everything has calmed down, I'll turn back into an and I will ask him, how quickly do you think if you were to deliver this to a person you may or may not know, how quickly do you think you may be delivering it?
wink, wink.
With the IRS.
He says, I'm sure he doesn't exist, so I can't really tell you.
I feel like I'm
That's
watching
fair.
an episode of Death Note.
Lee is getting very confused because this is not how Lee normally thinks. His low wisdom is starting
You
to show.
can't give us any idea, because, I mean, we are trying to meet up, so knowing, how long we need to stick
Lee
around.
keeps switching back into Aiden Marston definitely exists, even though he's trying to remember that that the guy is pretending that he doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It might be an alias.
Yeah. He says that. I mean, he's just kind of like it almost looks like he's a little guilty, almost in a sort of way, like almost put upon. Like, come on, like I can't. Like it's you kind of see that he's trying to think of a way to answer it in a way that isn't the way that he had already answered.
Lee kind of just shakes
Will-
his head, tries to put his hand on his shoulder, and says, "Don't worry, I understand that you have an oath, and I respect this. We will leave in peace." Is that good? Is everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Approximately what was on the letter? Broad strokes, because I know that there is a bit in there about blessing of Bahamut. Do you want to keep that in? Considering, okay,
I don't think that we should leave that in. I think that that's just something we should keep in mind for when we see him. I think that we should just basically tell him that we have, you know,
Information.
world-shattering information that, you know, this affects the entirety of the world.
Hmm.
All right. So world-shattering info. Meet us here between now and then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, listen, just hear us out and we'll leave you alone.
Yeah. Well, that may or may not be true.
What was that?
I don't know if Lee would write that. I think Lee would write, "I know that if you hear us out, you'll do the right thing because I can sense that you're a good man." Because Lee completely believes that if he knows the truth, he'll do the right thing.
Yeah, I think that we should do world-shattering information. This is the time and place we're hoping to see you. If you hear us out, we will stop bothering you. That's all we want is for you to hear us out.
What would Lee write that?
Yeah. It's up
Okay.
to Lee.
Can I put PS at the bottom? It's the dude with the one of us is the dude with the goat.
I think he would know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine he's often pursued for this net.
I think
Yeah.
Lee will also kind of remember that he made a lot of the same similar arguments that we're making in this letter and was ignored. So he is a little nervous about this.
Well, we aren't actually putting a lot of argument in this letter. Just meet us. Well, we
The
want him to
argument's
meet
gonna
us.
come after.
We don't want him to meet us at our camp. We want him to meet us at the Teal Mollusk. But we're telling him where our camp is. Again, yeah. I mean that way the ball is in his court. That way he has the power of the situation.
Okay. I thought we had agreed that we were going to have a meet at our camp, but I guess that is a more neutral location, so I'm just going to trust you guys to figure out what's going on because
Yeah.
my brain is burnt out at this point.
Okay, so broad strokes. World-shattering information. Kill mollusk. Sunset within the next 3 days. Hear us out. Please hear us out. We know you'll do the right thing.
Hear us
Yes,
out, and we'll
one of
stop
us is the
bothering
dude
you.
with the goat. Yeah, hear us out and we'll stop bothering you. Blue Tempest. P.S. One of us is the dude with the goat. Teal mollusk. Okay, and do you want to like the meet at the Teal mollusk? Also, our campus here. You want to include your camp info?
I think
Yeah.
so.
Let's include our camp info, but maybe we'll wait for him by the Teal Mollusk every evening at sunset.
Yeah.
One of us should possibly stay at the camp just in case it says that location.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair. Hey, they're not too far from each other, so technically we're splitting the party, but I don't think this guy's going to come in with an army.
Yeah.
Well,
or
also,
Kraken or anything.
I have alarm that lasts for 8 hours, so if it comes to it, I have 2 spell slots. Oh, well, 4 spell slots that I can use alarm on when we go to the Teal Mollusk, so we know if he's there.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
perfect.
So, short version, dear Mr. Marsden, we have world-shattering info. We just set the TL mollusk at sunset. In the next 3 days, we are camping at X location. Hear us out and we'll stop bothering you. The Blue Tempest. P.S. One of us is the dude with the goat.
I know
Yeah.
you'll do the right thing.
I know you will do the right thing. Okay.
On the walk back, I'm going to pull
Oh,
Fion.
hang on. Hang on. Keep that in mind, but let's not get too far ahead just yet.
Yeah.
So this guy, he stuffs out, or rather, he stamps out his second cigarette while you were writing the 7th draft of this letter. And you go, oh, okay. And he takes the letter from you.
Yeah,
I do
And-
seal it and stamp it.
And it is sealed and stamped. Got it.
Ooh, at some point we should develop a signet ring, a seal for each of us for the Blue Tempest.
Oh, that would be
Yeah.
cool.
Lee does a little sketch of
So
the,
I was
the
just
symbol on
gonna
it.
do the. I was just gonna see if I couldn't commission a ring for each of us with the Blue Tempest.
You
Yeah,
guys
I'm
know I
down for
make jewelry, right?
Actually, that's
Like,
a
I
fair
can-
point.
I can make your custom jewelry, so
Oh.
Hey, we'll pay you.
yeah.
Yeah, like
This will make this more worth your time.
It used to be a
you know?
well. No, anyway, we can talk about that later. Not the point. So, yeah, is there anything that anyone would like to accomplish in town?
What was Aladrin doing?
He was talking about the walk back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was gonna be my thing, is just commissioning that, but
I'm down for that.
Anyway, so you want to, Ormus, you want to try and find a jeweler to commission some stamps to be made?
yeah, or him
Signature
if he's willing to do it.
You ask him, oh, by the way, can you make us some jewelry?
Yeah, if he's a jeweler, yeah, hell, I'm sure he'll do the great work.
He'll inform you that the majority of their work is in preparation and shipment of precious natural commodities, mostly pearls and
Oh,
pieces of pearl. We did not actually make the jewelry pieces. You were making a lot of noise, Ormus.
Yep, it just started getting windy
Sorry.
as I was walking back inside. That was the worst. I had terrible timing.
That's okay.
I am so sorry.
You're saying,
I don't suppose you can like cut and appraise gems.
We perhaps could, but we probably would not give you your best price.
I respect that answer. Okay,
Because
maybe
we would have to
maybe
sell
I'll
it
ask.
to a jeweler.
Hey,
Yeah,
Ormus.
all I'm looking for is just a stamp. What's up?
But he says that I can give you a rough. Oh, sorry to interrupt. But he's still sticking with Mollywood real quick. But he says I can look at.
No, thank you. It's a bit of a handful, so no, thank you.
Well, we have one of the largest groups of accountists on the island. If you change your mind, we'll be happy to take a look at them. If there's
Okay,
nothing else,
noted. Thank you.
I thank you for your time again.
And sorry, we got off on the wrong foot.
Yeah, we're used
Bad
to
timing.
dealing with different sorts. We really are good people. It's just we've all been through a lot. We're under a lot of stress because of what's going on in the world.
Ormus here can be a little bit aggressive at times, and we apologize for that.
His heart is in the right place.
Mark snorts.
I'm just gonna give him the biggest bitch face ever. Like, excuse me, sir? I am the
His
one
heart
that
is in the
got
right
you
place.
a crab buffet for free. I don't want to hear it.
Oh, but Ormus, we're gonna be here for a couple of days. If you want to we could spend some time, working together to make some emblems for all of us.
Yeah,
Not
I'll be down,
necessarily
yeah.
signet rings, but we could make something.
I like that idea.
This
It was
fellow
just-
nods
it-
and
it
leaves.
just happened.
All
But
right, let's head out.
it was just an idea, just because it came up. I'm like, it would be
It'd be
really
good.
cool for us to have an actual stamp in case we ever split off after the world saved and everything like that, and we just want to talk. Send a letter with a stamp, and we'll know who it's from.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, we've got some time. We probably can get some. Maybe we can pick up some material, some craft materials from ye old Hobby Lobby, and meet back at our camp and make some emblems.
What did I give myself? Yeah, I'll be down. Arts and crafts with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. We make one for each of us, and we find a place to put it on our on a piece of our equipment.
Well,
Lee is gonna emblazon it directly on his breast. Sorry, Molly.
yeah, I'm gonna put mine right on my dragon armor because that stuff is it. As much as it causes problems on occasion, it is what I wear
It's
most.
fantastic. It's very powerful.
All right. So, are you looking for arts and crafts supplies, or are you walking back to camp, or what are we doing here?
Let's do arts and craft supplies, because I actually like the idea of spending these next couple of days making.
I
Yeah.
got 2 gold left to put in
Yeah,
this.
I
am
can
happy to
cover it
spend
if you
money.
want. I got money.
I want to help.
I think Allergen has a total of like 7 silver.
We do all have access to like some pretty extensive resources if we really want it.
Yeah, I still have bags of just uncut gems and like lots of valuable stones and stuff.
We could
We can see
probably
where we
just
get the
ask.
best price for that.
We could probably just ask Philbin to finance our missions and just be given like 100 gold apiece or some crazy shit like that.
Hmm. I feel terrible
Well,
about asking like that. I'd rather earn it.
they may or may not go over too well. If you recall, Lee, that your time with Philbin, he was discussing the financial ruin that Bacata is in.
That's
So,
true.
Yeah.
and
Maybe
that
we
they're
can-
having a lot of problems.
If maybe we can ask somebody who's doing a little bit better.
The queen, maybe?
Turnia.
Yeah. Though, I do think, you bringing that up did make me think about it. We probably need to do something to help with their financial situation. I know Philbin talked to Hope about trading, and that could help.
Mm-hmm.
Too much.
You also recall the last time that you spoke with anyone in Terrenia, Lee, is because you had gone in alone to give them sort of a progress update, and they didn't seem too overall pleased with you guys. Plus, yeah, you think that the rough alliance that you all had is maybe a little rocky.
Why would that be? Does Lee know why that would be?
He may recall that there were some issues with whether or not, because if you recall, the whole thing was about Morningstar, and there's a lot of influence from Morningstar and a lot of elements. And in fact, the city of Tyrannia was founded by the father of the man that founded Morningstar. And so, or not so much founded, but Tyrannia was sort of rebuilt and considered to be the sort of capital of it. So there's a lot of issues of alliances and loyalties and to where they should be loyal, and frankly, whether or not they want to support a humid city over Morningstar and over a lot of other known factors, and that's a consideration. Plus, you guys haven't really given them a whole lot, and frankly, all these teleports, it's expensive. And so it is one of those things where it might come up later. They didn't seem too happy with you. They were just kind of like, okay, yeah, whatever, go away.
But can we? I mean, like, I would be glad to try to staple down an alliance with them, but I just wouldn't know where to even begin with that. I mean, we don't really have much to give them, and
Yeah.
I guess it's just common sense to most of our group that we don't want Tiamat to rule the world.
Yeah.
Well, you got to remember is that, and this is something that you ran into as well, trying to get some help in some areas with Tiamat. The problem is that Tiamat was actually good for a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
and not everyone looks back on the past of and sees it in such a bad way. Many do, some don't. And so that's a concern and a consideration that just has to be taken into account. In fact, like Aladrin said, it's entirely possible. I mean, Bahamut was betrayed even then. And most recently, Fion, you left your patron because of lies going back thousands of years, and how, at least seemingly at some point, he was against all dragons, good and bad, because he didn't want him interfering at all. So there are some people that will be against everything, but might be against you just because you're with Bahamut. Or they might want to bask in the shade that Tiamat offered. Granted, if you were not on her side, you were in a terrible place. But if you were on her side, Alandra and you yourself saw massive cities built by humans, long abandoned, lost, falling apart and crumbling, but of tremendous wealth and beauty, perhaps, in their heyday. A high point that you've not really seen equaled. I mean, there are some shining jewels of the elven cities, palaces and such, and of course there are the occasional tremendous vaults of the dwarves. But I mean, the tremendous size of some of these cities was surprising, staggering, and after thousands of years, the walls still stand. There might be some that want that again, Anyway, it's just stuff to keep in mind.
Lee stops for a second, like in the middle of the street, has a very contemplative look on his face, like his two last remaining brain cells are finally sparking together, and he says, "Wait, are we the bad guys?"
A little bit. I'd like to say we're the
Only when
neutral
we need
guys,
to
you know what
be.
I mean?
Oh
Lee,
no!
if you want, make a wisdom saving throw. Or a
Not
wisdom
plasma
check.
brain.
Just a straight wisdom check.
Yeah, sure. Let's see what happens.
Oh my God,
Please not on that.
that's a 2.
Okay.
Wait, I have a plus though. Of 5.
Okay. Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe. You've definitely done some good, but I don't think anyone would argue that Verbanville is better off. There have been a lot of bad things that have happened in your wake. Maybe.
He's not so sure about their mission anymore. He wasn't sure what to do, but now he's not sure that even what we are doing is right.
The
Oh
emblems
no.
and a lot of the off splits from the emblems, that most of the town seems to be either directly in the contribution of pearls, polishing, shipping, preparing, cutting, storing, or are part of the support mechanisms for the industry of this. So you have home builders only in that they build homes for the most part for some of these workers. So there are a couple of builders. There are smiths, but they're making mostly all day long tools for the proper functioning of pearls. There are imports of lumber, and there are large yards, and there's all kinds of things. But it's all about mostly kind of support of the industry. They don't seem to all be run by the same company, but at a certain point, um, if they're all working for the same people, they all do seem to be interlinked for the most part. Everyone seems to be mostly functioning towards the end of getting pearls or helping people that are getting pearls. In terms of arts and crafts, as I said, there are some lumber stores. There are smiths here that seem to be quite talented at making small hand tools and things, because it seems like all day in and out they're making tools for the proper cutting and shaping of shells and pearls and things like that. And but anyway, so potentially you could have something small and intricate made, but it's likely not going to be made of a precious material.
That's fine. Yeah, I want
Plus
something,
with
an emblem to put on my armor. Maybe have it engraved.
Have the
steel.
hmm?
Just have it engraved into a plate of steel that's affixed to a section of my armor.
Just the logo in general?
Yeah, essentially just the emblem on a plate of steel that's bent to fit on the front of my armor.
Okay. It's potentially doable. Ormus, I know it's going to be tricky, but is there any way you can like adjust the amount of noise coming? There's just the occasional hoops and hollers of some sort of a youth.
Well, I was gonna say something, so I unmuted myself, and then I was waiting. But yeah,
Okay,
I'll keep
gotcha.
myself muted.
All right. What were you going to say, Ormus?
I was just gonna say, even if they're busy, the blacksmith, and we want to get something made out of metal, I'm sure for the right price we can get it done within like the next 3 days.
Absolutely, but as I said, it just won't be made of anything precious. So if you wanted like copper signet rings, yeah, it might be a little trickier, but it's potentially doable. There's not a lot of supply of certain metals. There are plenty of some, but certain others, no. And I'll add too that as you do see people kind of going about and doing various things, a lot of it does seem to be, as people are picking up things from the blacksmith, they're not really paying. It seems that a lot of it is almost credit based. That
Oh.
perhaps they're getting it on some sort of a month-to-month basis. Because, well, anyway, there's a lot of tabs at the bars. There's a lot of other sort of situations where people are coming up and maybe they're invoicing it. Who to tell? But basically, you don't see a lot of coin changing hand.
There, has to change sensitivity. Hopefully that works.
So, in terms of supplies, or in terms of commissioning, if you want to try and find someone, you certainly can. But as I said, it'll probably be out of a more iron-based material.
Yeah. Since Lee is questioning the validity of their mission, he's going to do what he always does, and he's going to get a part-time job.
Oh, geez. What is it that you wanted to do, Aladrin?
I was basically going to start a whispering campaign with Fionn and Ormus, where, because I know they have disguised self and they're quiet, sneaky, charismatic individuals,
Mm-hmm.
they disguise self into loosely Morningstar clothes, like same colors, but not a uniform, and talk quietly but loud enough for other people to overhear that the queen has returned.
Interesting.
Just to see if that, I don't know, draws someone out.
That sounds pretty good.
Test.
Any
Test.
particular specific queen?
I think if we say the queen while wearing, Morningstar colors, that might tip the right folks off.
So
But
you're talking about like have it very discreet that we're wearing Morningstar, but visible enough to where the right people would be
yeah,
like, okay, okay, I see
yeah,
you're wearing that color. Okay.
You're not gonna be saying, "Hey, we're Morningstar. The Queen is here. We're doing
Yeah,
this," and you're just gonna be have it
Yeah.
be
pretty
at
much.
the down low a bit, but noticeable.
yeah, something like that.
Is the intention to try and find Morningstar spies? Or, like, what?
Try to find Morningstar spies, Morningstar sympathizers, people. Cultists sounds mean, but
I like it.
That's probably the most accurate
yeah,
interpretation.
because I don't think we've actually seen like a church to Tiamat. You know what I mean?
Not
So
here.
yeah, I imagine like people who worship Tiamat as quietly as they can, because history has painted her as the villain.
I do, having the thought that, we might be the bad guys, as, Lee put it. I do want to start, in general, not just here, but in general, paying attention to who has symbolism or anything of Tiamat or Bahamut to get an idea of how widely, you know, praised each are.
Of course.
I
Now, for
think
the vast majority of the world, it's important to remember that neither has been heard from for thousands of years. And for the most part, they've, in some places, even just kind of fallen into myth. Like, was there ever really a Bahamut and a Tiamat? But anyway,
I want to definitely point out that anybody that is a devout follower of Philbinism supports Bahamut and not Tiamat because um, because Philbinism is very strongly anti-Morningstar and Tiamat.
I mean, yeah, the Philbish Bible said punch Morningstar.
Oh yeah, that's one of
Yeah.
the tenets.
mm-hmm.
You're the Apostle Aladrin.
Yeah.
Mm.
Of course, that might cause a bit of a conflict of all of these Filbish pilgrims trying to go into the southern dwarven lands, but
I,
Basically turning into the Bible.
I
No
had
big deal.
another thought that's, mildly concerning. The humans supported Tiamat in the First War,
yep.
and now the dwarves are. And look at where the humans are now. I don't particularly want to do that to the dwarves this time if we can avoid it. Like turning dwarves into some sort of quasi fictitious race.
That's certainly something to keep in mind.
I mean, that feels a little problematic, but
I you
If we
don't,
wipe
I
out
just,
their head, I think we can save most of the dwarves.
yeah, it's just I don't want
Not to
the
mention,
dwarves to be like the humans.
well, we have a large number of dwarves that are anti Tiamat and Morningstar
Yeah,
in Bakata because they're Filbish.
yeah, that's something. That's good at least.
And I don't think that wiping out Morningstar as an army is what we need to do. I think wiping out their head and dismantling the organization rather than killing everyone involved is the right tactic.
Yeah,
And of course,
Dismantling their
Morningstar.
organization,
Or sorry, go on.
yeah, dismantling their organization without killing them all is the goal. But go
Uh,
ahead. I
and
don't have all the information.
there is a distinctive difference in that Morningstar is a powerful faction amongst the dwarves, but it is not the head of the dwarves. It is not the leader of the dwarves. It does not make up even a majority of the dwarves.
mm,
And so it's a little different compared to the humans, where it was essentially a worldwide, or most of the world at least, um, a controlled kind of empire, and they were tyrannical and they were vicious, and it was, and also too, they're much like our own IRL history in many ways, is that there was subjugation of humanity as well. It certainly, um, there were humans that were in the active to topple um, Tiamat before as well. I mean, it's kind of tricky, but largely humanity was on the side of Tiamat. But with the corruption that Tiamat can put out, it's entirely possible that while humanity may not have been willing last time, the dwarves may not be willing this time. It could be very well. Bahamut seems to make it in such a way that she's practically controlling their minds,
yeah,
and so it might be kind of troubling there. And it is strange, of course, that she would, for whatever reason, start to attack the people that she used to have. It still
yeah,
seems odd that they would. It was unusual that she would go after Bakata, and even more unusual that she would go after Hope. But
yeah.
anyway, so a whisper campaign would be sort of interesting. Is that the way you all want to pass your days? As you wait for sunset in the Blue Mollusk?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be doing all my swimming and stuff like that, and working on crafts.
You could go back into blacksmithing as you did before, Lee.
Yeah, I'm down for that. That's my part-time job.
All right.
um,
Would anyone else like to get a part-time job?
actually, yeah, I would like to see if, because I don't know how effective the Whisper campaign is going to be, but I would like to see if I can get some sort of chef or hunting or whatever I can do.
Hmm.
You could
Now,
be a pearl diver.
you
Aldrin could be a
it's a
pearl diver.
possibility of it, although Aldrin would maybe make a killing in that. But there seem to really only be kind of two primary restaurants. While there are markets, there's only two places that seem to be public eateries, and those were the Blue Mollusk and the Lighthouse. And so maybe you could find work at one or the other. That's a possibility if they're hiring. But beyond that, you might be able to open a market stall, make a food cart. You don't know what kind of zoning is in this area. You don't know how that would go over, but that's
I
a
mean,
possibility.
it's only gonna be for 3 days. If I'll just be like, hey, oh hey, I didn't know. I'm sorry. I'll break it down. But I do have that what you call it recipe, that like street taco recipe from Bacata that I can edit. So
You do? Yeah, you got a street taco recipe that you could modify. You could definitely turn that into a kind of usable signature dish, something handy and convenient for the worker on the go. In terms of ingredients, what would you want to source for those? And would you want to set up in the market, or do you want to set up in one of the larger intersections where people are moving goods back and forth down these planked roads?
One of the larger intersections.
Well, that's pretty good. What in terms of cooking implements do you have? Do you have a pan of any kind or a skillet, or are you just going to start a campfire and put up a spigot, or
I'm pretty sure I have the basic, like the basic.
like a mess kit?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Mess kit 5e. What have we got here? I forget what is in the mess kit. And while I look through this, let's see, a 10 box containing a cup, simple cutlery, a box that clamps together. One side is a cooking pan, one side is a shallow. Okay, so you got a decent size, like a frying pan, essentially, and then some other things, but mostly just a frying pan. And you probably have something larger, considering you cook a lot for the group. You could always maybe even find something larger for sale.
Um, would it be possible to take like a I don't know how to say it, like a river stone, and use that, or not like a river stone, I guess like a beach stone in this circumstance. Kind of set it over a fire setup and use it.
It would probably be a pretty big beach stone, and suspending a stone over a fire can be tricky too.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you'd have to find one, and assuming that it's not so big to that it's not. Basically, you'd have to build a structure to put a fire over it.
Yeah.
That's the trickiest part.
Then I'll just use my basic mess kit stuff set up over just a campfire.
You could have a decent grill put together. You could have them hammer out a pig of iron and make a plate, essentially. Lee might be able to manage that.
Yeah, I can help you out.
Just hammering out a single pig of iron.
Yeah, give it to me. I'll pull out my warhammer.
I guess I could probably just like buy a sheet of iron from somewhere, right? Like,
Well, most of the iron is going to be in sort of large ingots called pigs,
Right.
yeah.
I mean, I'm
and
working as a blacksmith anyway.
it's pretty big. Well, we'll see if you can get hired as a blacksmith.
That's fair.
But if you're going to be hammering out something, you could potentially hire, or rather, sort of commission a forge to use it. In which case, as long as you're not damaging things, they might let you. But for a full pig of iron, there's costs involved. But it's just one possibility, one option. They don't have a lot of large skillets or anything that are readily available.
And other than that, I guess source it. I would just at like while I'm waiting for the opportunity to see if Lee is going to be able to. Either way, we need food, so I'm gonna attempt to go fishing and stuff.
Okay, perfectly
Probably
fine.
probably use the net just to try and get more familiar with Aiden's mentality as a net fisherman.
Interesting. Okay. So Fionn off net fishing, Lee trying his best to become a blacksmith again. Molly Mort, how will you be spending most of the day?
I was just looking at for one thing, I do have stone shape, which I could use for Fionn if he wants me to make that into like a little cooking table.
Absolutely. You can in fact make it a whole firebox where it is enclosed well for flame and a cooktop.
It'll just take me a day because I don't have it prepared today, so...
So yeah, I mean, I imagine I would share my plan to try and sell some food. So
I'll try to market off my own skills.
Anything in particular you want to focus on, Mollymort?
Um, I'm guessing there isn't much, like, of a farming community around here.
It seems like they're wealthy enough that most of the food is being farmed elsewhere, and it's just being imported here.
Okay, so I can't use plant growth. I will set up a little I'm going to set up a little mending stand beside Theon Station.
That works. And what would you like to vend and set off?
I can cast mending on anything. Anything that's broken, shattered, destroyed.
Ah, good. Yeah, able to repair anything. That's pretty decent. I will throw another idea out too. You notice that the Lighthouse restaurant seemed to be somewhat more fancy. If you could have an abundance of fresh flowers, that might be something they would appreciate, although you're not sure how much they would pay. But the mending stall is definitely a good one as well.
I like that idea. I could, grow up some flowers while I'm manning my station in case anybody, because I can't imagine I'll get that many customers in the time being. And like, yeah, I can fix any jewelry. Just give me 1 minute.
All right. Adira offers that she can certainly help with the flowers too.
Oh yes, that would be delightful.
So that gives her something to do. And we will come back to that. Ormus, how are you going to spend your day?
Real quick, I'd
Sure.
like to say, Molly Moore is playing with the kinds of flowers she can grow with Druidcraft and everything in the meantime.
Okay. Perfectly fine. But yeah, we'll come back to see how well you do in the market and see how well Theon does, etc. But Ormus, how will you be spending the day while you all wait for the first of perhaps 3 or more sunsets, waiting for Aiden Marsden?
Was kind of curious if there was a library.
Not that you can tell.
Okay. I might see if I can't get a few followers myself for either myself or Asmodeus. Just kind of like on a very low.
So you just want to be walking around in places just like, it's really nice. Hell.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
how
not
how
like
are
I
you
said, very,
doing
very,
this?
very low.
Mhm.
No, just strike up a few conversations with a few people, be super friendly, see see if they have any plans for when they pass or
Post-retirement?
yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Do you want to be doing this around the market, or do you want to be doing this in restaurants? Where do you want to be attempting to do this?
Bars, like the
Okay.
really drunk people.
All right. So essentially the teal mollusk.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because there's basically only 2 places in this small community, and teal mollusk is most definitely the more of that persuasion.
Okay.
Okay.
It's just something that crossed my mind a few days ago. I'm like, you know what? I wonder if I could prep myself good for hell if I get a few followers myself, or just a few bribes for Asmodeus. Like, here's a couple more people.
Well, that'll be an interesting conversation. Aladrin, how would you be wanting to pass the days?
Oh, I will be disguised.
Oh, of course.
I want to try and connect to Tiamat.
Interesting. Connect in the same way that you connect but to Bahamut?
Yeah.
Fascinating. Okay.
If they had a library, I was kind of trying to see if I couldn't get any research on Tiamat. So, I mean, that might be a faster way.
But unfortunately, they apparently have no library.
Yeah,
At least not a
I'll do
public
that
one.
when I get back.
So, Aladrin,
Mhm.
what is your sort of intention? What are you hoping for in this connection?
The same way a cleric would talk to their god, I want to try and open up not exactly the same line of communication,
Mm-hmm.
but as close as I can get. I want to talk to her because there's a lot of things going on, and Aladrin is the type to want to know both sides of the story before he makes his decision.
Yeah,
And,
hear it right from the horse's mouth.
and if he's being entirely honest, he doesn't trust Bahamut that much. Like, just the simple fact that Bahamut kept the fact that the world was going to face a second world-ending danger immediately after Tiamat doesn't really sit right with him.
Assuming Tiamat's world-ending danger.
Yeah. Yeah, assuming Tiamat was the world-ending danger. We're kind of just working on half of an assumption right now.
So do you actually want to commune with her, to communicate, not so much because
Yeah.
the link that you have with Bahamut, it doesn't seem to be the vast majority of the time, at least, it doesn't seem to be one that's active, or at least there it seems facilitated by whatever you got through the heart. But you
Yeah.
know that you got it through the heart because you had already seen the images, the dragons before it. You already have dragon blood. It's entirely possible, from everything that you've heard, that
Yeah.
just as you absorbed a link from Bahamut by touching his heart, that through some long, ancient, and forgotten, let's call it, connection between Tiamat and one of your ancestors, that there might very well be a link that you can connect in the same way. It's likely
Yeah.
much more faint because you had never thought of it or felt it or discovered it. But
Yeah.
it might not allow you to actively communicate. But you can certainly try.
I also do remember way back when I started having the visions in the first place, I was told by someone, I can't remember who, that these were the visions of the daughter, I believe.
Yeah, you believe them to be.
Yeah. And so I'm going to try and, if not connect with her, let her know that I want to talk.
All right. Now you remember through the work that you had before of your sort of meditative process of connecting to the part of Bahamut that was within you, that it it took you a while. It took you a long while before you were really able to really get a good connection. It might take you longer than the 3 days. Just saying.
I'll still try it.
All right. Sounds good. A day of meditation. Cool.
Mhm.
Okay. So, and Molly Mort, you would have to wait a day to get Fion's cook station to go.
Oh, until the end of a long rest.
It's basically a day.
Basically a day, unfortunately.
Okay. That first day, Fion, what would you like to do?
Pretty much just attempt to gather the ingredients for something simple like a basic like fish taco, pretty much.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, there's a lot of readily available fresh ingredients. They even have milled flour ready to go. They got all kinds of stuff here. It does seem to be a little expensive, but whatever. Sometimes that's what it takes. And these things are good. You're sure that some people will go for them. I mean, why wouldn't they? Okay. So, let me see here. this button costs 5e. We will cover, let's go with Lee first. There appear to be a couple of different shops that are making different things overall. Some of them are supplying tools to different houses, different of these sub warehouses and things. Is there any particular work that you would like to look for, Lee? Do you want to go for more the tool making for large stuff, or really small stuff that obviously takes more skill, or just in general, or just assistant work, or because there's always work to be done. There's filing work to be done. There's you need somebody to control. They don't have wheels here, so they've got bellows. They could use somebody to run the bellows. I mean, there's somebody to control the animals to help move the hammers. Like, there's a lot of stuff. Are you there, Lee? Can anyone else hear him?
I cannot.
Okay. Yeah, it's lighting up, but I'm not hearing anything. We can come back to that, I guess. Yeah, Jacob and Mark. Mark had gone to the Blue Oyster, or rather, the teal mollusk. I don't know why my brain can't keep that straight anymore. Mark had gone to the teal mollusk with Jacob and with a disguised Ormus. Although Mark quickly got himself kicked out. Ormus, there doesn't seem to be a lot of people here during the day. And in terms of drunk folk, they might show up later. But it seems relatively empty. The lunch crowd does come in. There's quite a few people that are taking advantage of that. Would you like to try and proselytize to some of the lunch crowd? They don't seem nearly as desperate as you were hoping.
Not as desperate for what, alcohol?
Well, not so much that. I mean, many of them are drinking alcohol, but they don't seem like the kind of folk that would. Yeah, it might be a stereotype, but you can imagine that there's a certain type of individual that might be thumbs up, yeah, where do I sign the dotted line to go to hell?
Gotcha.
These don't really seem like necessarily that type, but
Okay.
it's always worth a try. I mean, this is how you got to open up new avenues. This is how you open into a new market. You got to find people that you might not expect, might be into that sort of thing.
I think I might wait until nighttime. I kind of assumed that it wouldn't be until night, but yeah, I think I'd wait till nighttime.
The proprietor of the organization is especially curious as to why you're just kind of sitting there. I mean, I'm assuming that you're just still hanging out. Like, we don't rent the stools, right? Or actually we do, but they're not free.
Well, in that case, I'll take a wine. Got anything decent?
Wine. Would you like glass, bottled, or jug?
Glass.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys have for lunch?
Mostly crabs. We also got a crab sandwich. Got a crab stew. I got crab boulet, crab salad.
Starting to see
We got
a trend
crab.
here.
He
Crab
says,
gumbo, crab sandwiches. Sorry.
there's a similarity, yeah. He pours out the glass and
How
slides
much
it
is
across.
the special? If you guys have a special.
Yeah, we got a special. It's it's kind of not a souffle, but it's like a thick soup with a lot of cheese and crab on it. It's good. You'll like it. Are you?
How much for
Do you
that?
like onions?
Well, I'm not opposed to them if it's not like a too strong of a flavor.
So it's like a bisque?
Like a bisque. Yeah, a bisque is a good description for it. He says lunch specials 1 silver plus your wine there. The lunch special doesn't cover wine. And basically another 4 copper.
All right, very well. I'll hand it. Well, is it before or after kind of pay thing?
He says, "Well, you seem like you're from out of town. Never seen you before. So, I mean, after's okay, just as long as you're gonna pay, you know."
Oh, certainly, certainly.
Yeah. If you need anything more, just let me know. I already opened the bottle, so you know
How much? How much for the
the
bottle
jug.
then?
The jug, 2 silver total. If you want that instead.
Sure, I'll hold on. Yes.
Okay.
That way he doesn't. It's not like an open for one person type thing, and have to wait. Doesn't go to waste, you know.
Yeah, he puts a short, stout bottle that is corked up and says, "All right, so you're on for 3 silver. So shout if you need anything else."
Thank you.
And he'll
And
go
I'll
about
just
his
kind of
business.
cool. I'll just kind of like keep a scan, like a low key kind of vibe of the people.
All right. Theon, in your shop for ingredients, what do you imagine is going into these tacos? What would you like to get ingredients-wise?
I think a cooking oil, like an olive oil, and I plan on acquiring the meat myself. Probably, if I can find like I probably wouldn't be able to. The ingredients to make a tortilla, basically just milled flour. I think you one with milled flour, salt, and water, and I imagine I have salt.
Yeah. Oh, they also have salt here, too.
Uh, and probably a cheese that I can cut up or shred or something.
The cheese is a little trickier. They do have some cheeses, but I mean, a lot of the cheese that you've been interacting with is like goat cheese and things from Bacata. This is some kind of a soft cow cheese. I mean, it's different. It actually seems pretty nice.
I think I would probably ask if I could get a small sample just to try the flavor of it because I've never like. Basically, I'd walk up to the person selling it and excuse me, I know this is weird, but I don't think I've ever had this cheese before, and I was just wondering if I could have a small sample just to try its flavor to see if I could, maybe use it.
That is a bit of a shrug, and the person takes off this little chunk of the cheese and hands it to you.
I try it and I'm like, oh, that's pretty nice. How much is it for? What would probably about 2 or 3 pounds of it, a block.
Well, there's a couple of different styles. So, um, like, there's one that seems to be akin to like a feta cheese. There's one that seems to be akin to maybe like a not a parmesan, like yeah, parmesan. And they seem to have a couple of others. The chunk they broke off was sort of like a drier, harder, almost like a parmesan cheese, essentially.
Yeah, actually, I think that would go pretty well with what I was what I was thinking about doing. So,
Okay, 1 pound.
well, let's say two. I think two would do me pretty good.
All right. Are you with one of the shops or?
Just got a big order.
All right. Uh, he goes over and picks up a kind of a clipboard and says, "Who you with?"
Not really with anyone. Just kind of cooking for a lot of people.
Uh-huh. Oh, you're gonna pay coin. Okay. Sorry. We don't get those often. Um, it's about 4 copper a pound. So maybe 8 copper? That should do.
Uh, Remind me, because I can't remember. Is it 10 copper to a silver or?
10 copper to a silver.
Okay, yeah. I'll just give him a silver and say, here, sorry for the trouble. I know it's kind of weird that I'm not ordering for a new restaurant.
Oh, okay. Well, take some of these too then. And he fishes into kind of like a pickle jar and pulls out a couple of balls of some white stuff as well and wraps it up. He says, "Here, this is a bit of a softer cheese. Might go well with it too. Whatever it is. This is essentially akin to like a mozzarella."
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime. Money's good here. All right. There's also quite a bit of flour. There's pre-milled and unmilled. A pound of milled flour goes for about 3 copper, which is a bit steep, but there's not a lot of other sources.
I don't think I would argue. I think I'd just pay the price if it, yeah.
How many pounds of flour would you like?
I'll go 3 on this one.
Okay, that would be 9 copper.
And I just give a silver because it's easier.
And well, he makes through the process of getting a copper out of a pouch and hands it to you. It was all tied up and everything. It seems like he was not prepared to give change, but he did so.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you guys do a lot of credit based here, huh?
Well, there's not a lot of people here that aren't regulars, and we're pretty trustworthy with most folks, so we find it easier. We just keep track of it, and then they just pay when it comes due. Or a
Interesting.
lot of people pre-purchase and pre-buy. That helps. We
Oh,
got
yeah.
standing orders, and he points over to one, which is essentially a box of, it looks to be some sort of a collection of eggs, and you think it's a big ginger root for some reason, and a couple of other different things, and then discrete jars covered in fabrics. And he says, "Yeah, people just have standing orders. They pick this up once a week, twice a week. We deliver too."
Oh, interesting. Good to know. Well, thank you. Again, sorry for the trouble.
Anything that keeps people working. All right. Would you like to be looking for anything else in particular? You got plenty of water around you, although it'll likely be very salty. And then there's, you already got a couple pounds of flour, and you got some cheeses. It's good. In terms of meat, it looks to be that they do have a combination of different types of animals that are available, and they do have some shellfish, and they do in fact have some fish, some prepared, some unprepared. Prepared meaning fillets as opposed to whole fish or even just headless fish. They don't seem to be doing much of the butchering here, but you imagine that they could certainly carve up some chunks, but everything seems to be prepared for ease. Likely that those that cook are likely just cooking them very quickly, putting things into a pot and doing it. Everything seems to be almost entirely prepared by the individuals here, but everything except the cooking itself.
I think I'll just try and pick up a couple of fillets just to get me started, and then try and go do the like fishing myself.
Gotcha. You can get a couple of fillets. It looks like they're going for about 2 copper for a decent sized fillet, which is highway robbery, but that's the price they're asking.
Yeah, on this one, I'm if it's if it seems to be highway robbery, if it's, I'm gonna say something like, hey,
In Bacata, you could buy a whole chicken for like 2 copper, and this is half of a fish for 2 copper. Like, no.
yeah, hey, this is a bit much. Like, what's the deal here? Like, where I'm from, you can get a whole chicken for this.
Oh, sounds like a nice place.
I mean, I'm not trying to cause a fuss. I'm just wondering, like, is there a reason why a fillet is this much?
The fillet is that much because it costs that much to bring it in, and I want to make a little bit of money too.
Ah, because it's imported.
Gotcha. Not many fish in these waters, huh?
And not a lot of people fishing them. If you want to start fishing, I'll buy the fish you get, if that helps. Till then, 2 copper a fillet.
You I can hold you to your word on that.
That it's 2 copper a fillet? Yes.
That you'll buy what I catch.
It's good. Sure.
I might just have to take you up on that. At 2
All
copper a
right.
fillet, yeah.
And he says, no, I'm not going to be buying the fillets.
Oh, no. Oh, of course not. I understand.
All right.
In the meantime, and I again pull out a silver, and I need to be marking these off. That's 3 so far, right?
Actually, a little bit more than that. Because, actually, yeah, that's 3. Because the flour was 3 copper each. You got 3 pounds. Then you gave 1 silver for that and got 1 copper back. Then you paid 1 copper for 2 pounds of Parmesan and half a pound of mozzarella. And then you are now paying 1 copper for, I'm going to guess, I'll add 2. That it is 2 copper for a fillet, but 3 copper for a whole fish. So you could definitely cut off at least 2 fillets off to that, and then some. You got all the extra parts that you can use for all the wonderful flavors. And you're certainly no stranger around a fish.
Yeah, I'll definitely go for that, because at that point I can use the bones for stock and etc. etc.
Yeah, exactly. So would you like to purchase a couple of fish?
Yeah, just 3 would be 9 copper would get me 3.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, and I'll tell him to keep the extra copper because he gave me a little bit of information to help me out.
And your name is?
Fionn.
He pulls out the clipboard and begins to write. Fionn. Anything else? In terms of identifying name or anything?
Mackermill, and I started to spell out my last name for him.
He scrolls it off in very clean common and then also dwarven script. And he says, and then you can also see a notation of 1 copper credit. All right. And he puts that down.
Okay.
Anything else you would like to source?
No, that should be it. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. That mischief being managed. Lee. Do we have Lee yet? Gosh dang it. Yeah, I'm not hearing anything from him.
I see he's muted them
Hello?
headphones.
There we
Yeah.
go.
I have no idea how to work your computer.
Let me guess, it's an apple.
I think we've lost Mollymort too then. Because if Lee's on Mollymort, no one's on Lee.
Yeah, I can't get mine to work for some reason. Mine's just like not doing anything right.
But I got mine working.
Yeah, I can't get mine to work.
Strange.
strange and unusual. But since you're here, Lee, do you want to try and find, as I had mentioned before, I don't know if you heard it, but it seems that most of the blacksmith shops, they're either making
Yeah.
very small tools or relatively large multi-purpose tools.
Yeah.
Or different things, of course, like everyone needs nails, everyone needs, would you like to be making things, or would you also, there's also room for the shop for filing, for post-finishing. There's also room for, there's even need for people to do animal handling to control that. They don't have any water wheels or any sort of windmills or anything like that. It seems like a lot of the really heavy industrial moving is being done by oxen, essentially. And so if they need somebody to do animal handling, they could maybe just use somebody as a secondary hammer, making whatever. They say hit, you hit. Like what in particular are you trying to sell? What kind of job do you want to go for?
Lee doesn't really have a lot of experience with blacksmithing. He has the kit. He's done it a little bit, and he's had an interest in it. But he basically wants to do apprentice work to pick up more, tips of the trade. So if they have him working the bellows, he'll do that. But he wants to learn, the trade a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And so what do you say to these busy, perhaps master blacksmiths, to try and encourage them to take you on as an apprentice for the next 2 to 3 days?
um, do you need some extra hands? I have an interest in picking up some. Um, sorry, my brain is just whiting out right now. Um, Picking up some blacksmithing, and I'd like to help out. I specifically have an interest in working on the bigger stuff that takes less skill to start out.
He's kind of looking you up and down.
Very muscular, very stout.
And you have your tools there?
Yeah, I have my tools with me. Yeah, I have these tools, but I want to learn how to use them.
He nods. And he says, well, use some big help on the big hammers.
Big hammers are my specialty.
Okay. I may be thinking about a silver a day.
Yes, sir. That sounds perfect.
You know that like 1 silver a day is a pretty low wage.
Lee was willing to do it for nothing, but he offered him a silver before he said that, so now he's willing to take the silver.
All right, well, come on in, man.
Yeah.
He steps aside and invites you into the tremendous, overwhelming, powerful heat of a large workshop that is actively at work. And you see a tremendous wheel that is being pulled, that seems to be controlling grinding stones, pulled by a large oxen. And you can see 2 workers carefully grinding and quenching some sort of precise tools. You can see another person that is taking those ground instruments and that is heating them and checking for color and quenching and various works there. And you can see a tremendous anvil that is being pounded upon by just this dwarf. Well, you can tell that he works a lot, tremendously. And you can also tell that he does most of the striking with one arm and one arm only. The other arm, this man is asymmetrical. Let me just say that. He's been doing this for a long time. This dude is beefy as heck on the right side. The left side, not nearly as much. But, oh man, you do not want to get on that bad side. But he is just sending sparks going in all directions. Definitely have that metal too hot, but you don't know that. And he's just pounding away at it. And the fellow that let you in points over and says, "Adam, and helping the Grumman," and then walks away.
What did he say?
Yep.
I don't speak the language, I assume.
No, you speak it. He just apparently doesn't.
Okay. I feel like Lee feels a connection with this man because he also wields a large hammer with one hand.
Mhm.
Wait, just so I can understand what happened. This man is dwarven, right?
The one that let him in, or the one that with the hammer?
The one with the hammer.
Oh yeah, that man appears to be dwarven.
And he just has said something in a air quotes language.
Well,
What
no.
language do I think it
So
is?
let me back up a little bit. There's an elven man that let Lee into this blacksmith shop that seems to have a bit of an accent, but Lee has been able to see that there's these grindings and heating processes, and there's huge stocks of giant logs of metal, and there's a large amount. It looks like they've even in the back of it, they have their own charcoal pit that they're using to make their own charcoal. I mean, they're working hard on this stuff. But he had pointed over to a dwarf that is on an anvil. There are several other anvils, some being struck by carefully with small hands. You can even see that there is a small anvil that is likely for a gnomish crafter. But this particular fellow is a dwarf. He is hitting, and the elvish gentleman pointed at the dwarf, said something, and then walked away.
Lee walks over to the dwarven man at the anvil with the huge arm,
Mm-hmm.
takes off his cloak in the heat, and sets down his warhammer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and basically sits next to him and says, "I'm the," or gets down next to him and says, "I'm the apprentice. I'm the new apprentice here." I think Lee has read like a book on blacksmithing, but still knows very little.
He lifts up some darkened goggles that he was using, going back and forth, and then he spits on his hands and kind of wipes them a little bit to clean them off a little bit, and extends his hand. I'm Scarverus Emberheart.
Scarborough's Emberheart.
Scarverus Emberheart.
Respect.
Lee Reed, and I grab his hand with a firm handshake.
He gives you an incredibly tight grip. Like, this is a vice. You've been bitten by animals with less intensity. You were 100% certain that he could crush your bones. Like, it's a tremendous strength in this hand. The other one, you could probably take no problem.
All right. Do I have to roll to resist this handshake?
No, it seems to resist it exactly, or it releases and relinquishes at the exact moment that you show any sign of pain. It just gets to the threshold of breaking. It lets you know that it could destroy you, but it does not.
All right.
And he points at your big hammer
Yes.
and says, "When I say, oh, you hit, right?
Do I know what that means?
When I say, oh, you hit, yes, yeah."
Yes.
And he's thumbs up.
Can I try speaking to him in Dwarven to see if he's more comfortable with that?
Sure.
I'll say, you want me to strike in Dwarven?
He'll respond in very clean Dwarven. Yes, I do.
Thank you. And I think from here on, Lee will be speaking to him in Dwarven since the accent is a little bit difficult for him to understand. And
He
yeah,
says, if you could use that large and wonderful hammer and strike when I ask you to, this will be much easier. Don't hit when I don't ask you to. That will make me not happy.
he wants me to use my warhammer.
Yeah, he pointed at the big hammer,
Okay.
your warhammer.
I pick up my warhammer. My Mjolnir.
Yep.
All right, I'm ready.
He looks over to where his piece has begun to get another heat. He brings down the goggles, hefts his own sizable hammer, and pulls the metal from the anvil and yells, "Hit!"
Hit. Okay, I hit.
All right. I'm just curious. Because this is a magical hammer.
Yes.
Roll it. Let's go with the D100.
Okay. I don't have a D100, but I can roll it in chat.
That's fine. If you're able to.
Molly has some. 72.
Okay. That was surprisingly close. All right. If you would make a strength check, Lee, just to see in terms of the pounding.
Would it be okay if I made a attack roll since Lee specifically has fell-handed, which is an ability to use hammers and axes?
Yes.
Okay.
Basically, it's giving you the proficiency to strike, even though you're not necessarily proficient in all blacksmithing. You're proficient with hitting as a strike, but I don't know if we'll necessarily call it an attack, unless you're trying to specifically destroy it. It's really just strength plus proficiency.
Okay. Plus I get a +1 for using hammers and stuff.
Sounds great.
Can I take that?
Sure.
All right, that's an 11.
Okay. An 11 total?
Yeah.
Did you add the dice and the strength?
Yeah, 11 total.
And the proficiency? Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's still above a 10, so I don't feel too bad, but I didn't roll super well.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you hit it, and he kind of gives you a look.
Sorry, I was nervous.
Huh?
Sorry, I was nervous. I'll improve.
He strikes it a couple of times and gives it a turn. You know,
All right, I hit. Can I roll again?
yes, roll again, please.
All right, that's better. That's a 13.
Okay. Boom, a little bit better. He nods a little bit and then says in Dwarvish, "That was a fantastic strike. More of those, please."
Yes, sir.
And then he strikes again.
I hit again.
All right.
I rolled a 27. It's not a crit, so I don't do the thunder damage, luckily.
Got it. When he goes, and then says in Dwarven, "That was tremendous. If you do that more, I will be excellently happy and will buy you beer."
Lee nods and tries to do that. Because there's timing to it, is there any way I could get, like, some sort of benefit, or is it just... Oh, I'm not proficient with it, so I guess not.
I'm just kind of going to go by the fact that you got better and better. I'm going to assume you maintain an average somewhere between 13 and 27. So you do a pretty darn good job as you're just pounding these things out back and forth as he goes through the heating process. And by the end of it, you see that he is making some sort of... it's kind of like a... How to describe it? Like a double-sided shovel.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's a bit odd. It almost looks like an anchor shape, but you're not... I mean, it's too small to be an anchor, much too light, but it's kind of like an anchor shape, but it's clearly a tool head of some kind that's like a double-sided pointed spade, but like trowel-sized spades.
All right.
If that makes any sense. Anyway.
I think I understand.
But walking through the process, you're able to make about 12 of those in one day.
Okay, awesome.
With his help. So success was had there. And Molly Mort. Are you with us?
Yes.
Okay. So you're setting out your mending sort of stand. Are you just kind of... Is there any preparation that you want to have, or you just want to stand in the market just kind of yelling, "Hey, I can fix stuff"?
I kind of want to basically set up like a children's lemonade stand kind of thing, basically.
Excellent. So do you want to acquire lumber for this and perhaps a sign, or do you want to maybe rent a stall, or what?
Well, I mean, I guess since the second day I'll have stone shape ready anyways, I'll just use that.
Okay, so you just want to... Well, it's still the first day. On the first day, would you like to do that, or do you just want to focus on flowers the first day?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Perfectly fine. Can't wait to get back, though. I want to get to Carnival Barker Mollymort so much and see what happens there. So, and Aladrin, with your meditation, where do you want to meditate?
I think I'll just meditate at the camp since everyone's kind of scattering,
Okay.
just in case Aiden somehow gets the message faster than we could ever anticipate and he just shows up.
Understood. And I'll add Mollymort. I'm assuming that you're just kind of growing flowers in one of the relatively open, kind of hilly fields outside of town.
Yeah, that sounds nice.
Okay. So, Aladrin, at camp, with the distant sounds of waves, the occasional splash, the wind going over the hills, the bright light of the sun above you, and you're alone for the first time in a while, several weeks, in fact. You've been entirely going around with a druid at your side, but she's now off with Mollymort, and you're alone in the quiet. Go ahead and roll. Basically, just let's go with 3d20s and see what you come up with.
Alright. The first one's a natural 1.
Okay, excellent.
The second one is a 5.
Okay.
And the final one is a 17.
I don't know how that could possibly be better.
Yeah.
You, looking within yourself, taking deep breaths and thinking and focusing on the connection with Bahamut, you're able to feel it pretty quick, lingering just under your own pulse. And then you want to try and find something like that, but not that. And you try looking for the opposite of that. And you try looking for something, anything. You try excluding everything else inside of you, one bit at a time, just a little by little, trying to find anything that is like this, but is not this. And you can just feel at the very core of whatever it is that it means to be Aladrin. Just as the connection with Bahamut is just underneath your pulse, just underneath your life, just underneath the essence of your existence, the fire of your being. There is Bahamut, but well below that, in the foundation of Aladrin, there's just a trickle, just a little trickle, and it's cold. And you follow that, and you follow it, and you can feel that it feels strange. Part of you feels really cold when you're within it. It feels like you're, how to put it? I mean, you feel empty. More than the sort of normal hollow despair that some might feel. This isn't that kind of a depression. It's something different on a grander scale, but it feels cold. And another part of it, as you sort of swim up this trickle at the foundation of your being, it's kind of hard to describe, but it feels envious. You feel like how did I put it? A goat in a green field looking at another field that the grass looks a little longer on.
Hmm.
And you feel like that goat has been walking towards that hill and has never been able to get there. And it is sick of the grass around it.
Hmm.
And you think you're following the right path to get to your intended destination of some connection to Tiamat.
Okay.
So, that takes most of your day.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. Ormus has had himself a long lunch and just sitting around. Mollymort's doing flower stuff. Jacob and Mark succeed in not getting arrested and or burning the town down. He's in blacksmith. Fion's got some ingredients. It's coming close to sunset. You guys want to all go into the Teal Mollusk, or some of you go there and some of you go to camp, or just one person goes there and the rest of you do your own thing? What do you guys want to do?
Deploy the mollusk.
Yeah, I want to go to the teal mollusk.
I'll say I can.
All right.
If Aldrin's staying at camp, I'll go ahead.
Okay. So everyone but Aladrin. Ormus, do you stay at the Blue Mollusk? Or Teal Mollusk? Good gravy. I'll assume that's a yes. Sounds like a yes to me.
I'll stay for a few hours, and if I don't pick anything up from individuals, kind of like keeping note, like, okay, if he comes in later, I can possibly talk to him about it, or her, or I'll leave after lunch after paying, and then I'll come back during the night.
Okay. So it's come around to, assuming you're just kind of wandering around town, Ormus.
Yeah, chillaxing.
That's fine.
Relaxing, all good.
Making sure that Jacob and Mark don't get into too much trouble. Mostly just hanging out on the beach.
Yeah.
But sunset has come around. You all are able to go back into the Teal Mollusk. The proprietor seems a bit miffed at Mark coming around again, but Mark says, fine, goes back outside.
Oh, Fionn, did you set up the alarm at camp where Aldrin's staying?
No, because, well, I mean, if that was the plan, I bet, I would imagine that I went back in time to put it up and then come back.
Well, would you like to?
Yeah, well, we could all meet up at camp and then all head to the Teal Mollusk, except for Aldrin.
Is that what you all would like to do?
I mean, that sounds good to me.
All right.
Yeah, with that anyways.
Okay. You had taken the time to walk back to camp, seeing Aladrin in an incredibly peaceful mood. Like, you've never seen a more calm Aladrin. There's probably something wrong with him, but whatever.
Oh no, he's found his Zen. He'll only grow more powerful at this point.
This is where Aldrin starts taking levels into monk.
You know, funnily enough, Lee and I were talking about that the other day.
Yeah, a calm berserker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's doable.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. I've been thinking about it for what, the last 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
so Fionn sets the alarm. What conditions would cause it to ring? And do you want to set it so that you get the signal or that it's vocal or rather audible around the camp?
Let's say mental.
Okay. And what will trigger it?
Anyone save us and Philbin and Alondria.
Okay. All right. And the rest of you make your way to the Teal Mollusk, where, as I said, Mark seems to be. And he's not. The guy's not saying to get out for sure, but he doesn't seem pleased to see Mark. But he'll give you guys a table if you want one.
I was gonna say, worst case, I would have tried to charm Mark's way in. Give him a
I
hand.
was gonna say, I can. I think I could pacify him a little bit by buying a round of drinks.
Absolutely. That definitely would
Really
work plenty.
Did anybody say that they were staying at the camp?
Aladrin is staying at the camp.
Okay, probably the best person to do it. You can take on an entire fucking army.
Yeah. How much will that cost buying a round of drinks?
It depends on what you want to buy. So, do you want to buy a round of drinks? And when you say round of drinks, do you mean for your party or for the entire establishment?
The entire establishment, sure.
The entire establishment. Okay. Would you like to purchase an ale or a wine?
What does it look like more people are drinking? Should I make like a perception check?
They seem to be drinking an ale.
All right, I'll buy ale then.
Okay. All right. On this one, I think you'll say, "Oh, a round of drinks." Okay. If you don't mind me asking, if you'd pay before I
Of
do
course,
that.
of course, my man, and I'll pull out a pouch of gold to show I'm good for it.
All right. He will, at the flashing of the gold, say, "Oh, well, never mind then. You paid last night. That's good enough for me. You understand."
Of course I do, my man.
Yeah.
You can trust in me. I'm an honest consumer. I don't know the word for it. What do you call it? Somebody who uses
Customer.
a service?
Customer?
Okay, customer, I guess.
That works. And the rest of the bar is quite happy. Thanks you. Thank you, stranger, etc. And
Okay.
a lot of nods and such. And as he's counting the individuals, Mark puts up 2 fingers and points to himself, and the guy nods and continues just to count along and walks off, presumably to get the required drinks.
All right.
But you're welcome to, in fact, 2 large tables put together because you have a tremendous party. And soon enough, drinks are brought. 1 for each of you, 2 for Mark. And drinks are brought to everyone else as well.
All right. Is this something I can afford?
Well, it depends on how much money you got.
A little bit. I've got enough. I've got a small pouch of gold that should be enough, probably.
Overall, it looks like, in terms of mugs, let's see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
12 hours
6,
already passed?
7 of you guys, and you got 8
Did 12 hours
drinks.
already pass?
And so there's 8 drinks there, plus the other people that are already in.
You're putting it on.
So it's somewhere in the neighborhood of. Well, anyway. How much money do you have in terms of what you can afford? I don't know how much you have. Let me do the math on how much it is. So you bought essentially 15 drinks. So overall, it's 6 silver.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's 6 silver. That's less than a gold. Yeah, I'm good for that.
Yeah. It's less than a gold, but that's also it's a lot of money. It's yeah. It's 5 times as much money as you made in a day here.
That's true.
Yeah, it's keep that in mind. Is that for 6 silver, in a stay at a good inn, at an okay inn, is less than that.
Would the master blacksmith have ended up, he offered to buy Lee a drink if he kept that up, did he?
I don't know if he'd come to a place like this.
Well, that would depend if Lee would have invited him, because Lee was kind of heading back to camp. And I'll add that too, Lee. By the time you had finished your sort of actually, you know what? Resolve that because there were a couple of things. Fionn wanted to fish as well. Let's pause a moment. Forgive me, I completely forgot and dropped the ball on that one. Lee, as you're leaving, they ask if you want coin or credit for your payment.
A coin is fine. I don't know how much longer we'll be able to stay. But-
He'll give you a silver coin, no problem.
Okay.
But do you want to tell the dwarf individual, Scarverus, to meet you at the Teal Oyster later, or?
I'm gonna tell him that I'm headed back to regroup with my party, and we're headed to the Teal Oyster tonight. If he wants to grab a drink.
He's a little bit kind of sure, yeah. He nods
All right.
and says in Dwarvish, "That's not really my place, but I'll go there. Sure."
A friend of mine loves the place.
He nods, and he'll head out, presumably to meet you later. And Fionn, you're fishing. If you would be so kind, maybe make a survival check.
Yeah. Where did my 20 go? There it is. Dirty 20.
A dirty 20. Very nice. So, are you looking for sort of larger fish, smaller fish? Are you throwing anything back? Are you using good bait?
I would probably use the bits of mozzarella as bait since I didn't have any plans for it to begin with.
Very nice. Yeah, using the bits of mozzarella, you were able to come off with a dirty 20. Yeah, you're able to get about 10 fish in a decent day. And they're sort of like medium-size fish. Let's see. If you need to know what they look like, I can come up with something. But anyway.
I mean, my plan is to resell half and words. Sorry, my words are failing me. Use the other half as food for my air quotes stall.
Gotcha. So let's just put it somewhere in the neighborhood of they're sort of mostly grayish looking fish with a couple of spines on the back and somewhat pointy. They're about 7 pounds each, 6 or 7 pounds each. Not super big fish, but enough that you could get at least maybe 3 tacos out of each of them. Depending on how you cut the meat. Yeah, 3 or 4 tacos out of each of them for sure. No problem.
Okay, yeah, that sounds pretty good. Yeah, I'll go with the original of the resell half back to the dude and then the other half. Because you said 10 fish, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
All right. He'll give you a silver for each of them. Or, excuse me. It was 2 copper for a fillet, right?
Yes.
Yeah. He'll offer you a copper for each of the fish.
Sounds
and
good
he's
to me.
selling them for 3 copper.
I bought 3 earlier, right?
Yep.
Oh. Yeah, I understand the resale. I think that'll be fine.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not favorable, but I mean, what expect?
All right. He nods and takes the fish, pulls up the clipboard, and scratches out the +1 and adds a +6. So you have +6 credit. You can ask for coin, but this is just what he did.
Yeah, I'm gonna say to him, like, sorry, I didn't, I meant to, can I get that in coin? I don't know how long I'm gonna be on this island, so.
He nods. Yeah, it's fine. And then he produces 6 coppers and hands them to you.
Thank you.
And he crosses off your account. All right. So you've got yourself a fair amount of fish and a little bit of coin. And fasting forward, drinks have been produced. Your new dwarf friend has not arrived, Lee. But you all are within the teal mollusk. Drinks have been purchased. Would anyone like to order any food or anything like that? It seems like there's not a lot of other people in here, but whatever.
Lee lowers Mark's hand.
for when he asks for 2 drinks.
No, when he raises his hand to order all you can eat crab again.
It's only a matter of time. You came in right at the end of happy hour. I mean, of course he's going to try it.
Yeah. He's prepared.
All right, you can be prepared. Would anyone else like to order anything or make any prepared actions to counter anyone else ordering anything?
I'll get a meal.
Okay. So in terms of meal, I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Assuming there's something without crab in it.
Yeah, it's what I figured. So in terms of things that are available without crab, it's kind of limited. Their desserts are almost entirely crab free. So there's that. And they do have salads that can be ordered without crab. Although normally, obviously, they would come with crab.
Alright, salad it is.
Okay. It's relatively bland. You think that they mostly depend on the crab. But it's essentially like something along the lines of like a house salad, but it was primarily built around crabs instead of eggs and grilled chicken, depending on the type of salad, I guess. But it's just like a plain, simple, leafy green salad with essentially just vinegar and lemon juice on it. It's kind of plain.
Molly will mostly just eat her hat bread.
Some of this bread that's going stale is croutons.
It works. That's perfectly fine. You just dip it in the ale, eat it that way. That's usually the way they gotta eat a lot of travel bread anyway, is just kind of dip it in the booze.
Jack.
In the ale, I'll add too. The ale is also almost entirely without crab, so that's something. Anyone else want to order anything?
Fiona
The salad's just a copper, by the way, but he doesn't ask for it.
Fiona will order a salad and say to the guy, hey, if you need help back there, that is a big order.
He's a bit confused.
Back where I used to be a seafood chef. I just,
You good with crab?
Would I be good with crab? Did we have crab back in Bacata?
You had mostly fish in Bacata, a lot of fish, because you had more open areas of fishing going on. But I mean, surely crab came in sometime. But for the most part, you were like cutting up fish all the time.
Fionn would be. He would know a little bit about crab because remember we did open Fionn's crab shack in that village.
That's true.
I'll say, well, not a whole lot, but it came through time to time.
I'm
a quick
all right.
learner.
He says, well, obviously right now is not the best time to hire. If you come back tomorrow, it might be able to help. But and he kind of looks at the 3 occupied other tables. He says, we're not really too swamped right now, so.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. But you want to order anything, or?
Salad and a red wine if you got it.
Red? Okay. What a wine today. I think that's the first time in a couple of weeks we've had it ordered twice in one day. So, salad and wine. Wine for everybody, or? The excitement is palpable.
I'm sorry.
He's like, wine for everybody, or? And Mark, attempting to respond, is stopped by Lee.
Yeah, Lee wouldn't get any wine because he's got ale.
Molly will.
I still got my wine from earlier.
Molly,
Did you hear Molly say she wanted wine?
no, I did not.
Okay, that was my bad.
You want to just order a pitcher of wine then? For the table?
Sure.
Okay.
I still got my wine from earlier. Wait, can
Yes,
you hear me?
do.
Okay, whew. My
All
bubble's
right.
not lighting up, so I'm like, uh-oh.
Depending on how much you drank of it. But yeah. So another salad and a pitcher of wine for the table. And anyone else want food? Or just 2 salads?
Can I make a perception check to see if I see Aiden Marston anywhere?
You do not see Aiden Marsden.
Okay. Am I sure the waiter is not Aiden Marsden?
The waiter does not appear to be Aiden Marsden.
Okay.
You never know.
Nobody else wants to order food? He's like, yeah, fine. I mean, wine on an empty
Yeah.
stomach? Beer on an empty stomach? Not my stomach. That's fine.
Like a crab patty sandwich, I guess, or burger.
All
Crab
right.
burger.
Crab patty burger, got it? Okay, then. 2 salads, a crab patty burger, and a pitcher of wine. And he shakes his head a little bit, and you can see he almost like cringes at the thought of that meal, but walks away.
I mean, Molly might be drinking a good bit of that wine.
That's probably for the best.
I'll
You all,
Patty?
huh?
Krabby Patty?
Yeah, I mean that's essentially what he's going to probably bring back. So overall, assuming you will kind of keep the pace with, or rather just continue to drink what has been brought and not order anything, you will, in the end, owe 3 silver and 6 copper, assuming you don't order anything else. So who's paying for that?
How much was the wine? Because I already paid for my salad. I'll pay for the wine too.
Okay, so that's 3 silver, 5 copper. That's minus the 1 copper for the salad. And the wine itself, for the whole pitcher of it, was 2 silver.
She said all right.
Hmm?
2 silver? Yeah, she said all right.
I got 2 silver.
Okay, so 1 silver and 5 copper left.
Fiona will pay the rest.
All right, so Lee ordered a round of drinks for everyone, and Fionn pays for it. Gotcha.
I paid for it. I paid for it was 6 silver.
Well, you didn't give him the money yet. Or no, was it 6 silver?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was 6 silver.
Oh yeah, hang on. Let me double check. I did not do that total right. I wrote 15 as the number of drinks, not the price of the copper. Excuse me. So yes, in that case, Fionn, you only own 1 copper.
Yeah.
I'll give him. I'll give him the copper. Yeah.
I apologize because I wrote 15, and I was just like, oh, I guess that was 15 copper, but no, it's 15 drinks at 4 copper each. So I apologize.
I already deducted the 6 silver from my inventory.
So
Good.
it was 1 copper for my salad. Fionn got the 1 copper for his salad. I paid for the drinks. Ormus, how much was his?
He paid for his previously. He still had his bottle of wine from lunch.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, you're all settled up. All is done there, and unfortunately, the dwarven fellow doesn't seem to show very quickly, and at least in the time that you're able to get the drinks. He might be by later, who knows? But Aladrin, at camp, while you're just chilling, are you just kind of enjoying the sunset? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm kind of just sitting there, relaxing, trying to keep an eye out, but most likely getting distracted by anything and everything.
Okay. While you're trying to enjoy the sunset, you can see from the sort of uphill position overlooking the working town that is for basically farming oysters, or rather for farming pearls. You can see 2 horses riding out, one with a cloaked figure, and another that you can even see from here the gleam of the armor. And they approach closer and closer, and you just know they're gonna stop here. You just know it. And yeah, they do. They stop. And the cloaked figure pulls back her hood and reveals a fairly attractive older woman. And she says, "Are you the Blue Tempest?"
Uh, I'm one of the members. How may I be of service?
We need to talk. And she gets off her horse.
Feels the alarm, right?
Yeah, she approaches and sets off the alarm. So Theon, you, while in the inn, as the sun is just setting out the window, you sense that the alarm has been tripped. And we will come back to that next week. So I know Theon won't be able to make it, right? Anyone else?
I should be able to make it.
I should be good.
Yeah, I'll be here.
Okay. And Ormus, we may or may not find out because he's muted. Wait for it.
Am I?
Uh,
No, I'm not muted.
Okay, well, you just weren't responding. That's all.
I
So-
did.
Okay, fine, whatever. All right, so till next week, the 19th, and we'll find out what who this hooded figure is and what they want to do.
Tiamat herself. Dun dun dun.
It's entirely possible, though it's surprising
no.
that she didn't recognize Aldrin. But we'll see what this hooded figure wants to do and have what kind of discussion she wants with the Blue Tempest.
I
Because-
love that she asked if Aladrin is the Blue Tempest, like the individual.
Is meditating this whole time covered in weapons?
Yeah, more or less.
Something with weapons. That is, I think that's the best way to describe Aldrin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, side note,
Walking
I love
memory.
on your stat block for Aladrin, whenever you referred to his abilities, it was always the Aladrin.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Intentional.
Yeah, that was good.
We'll catch you guys later.
Alrighty.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Adios.
Bye.